Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast that I am running here on youtube.com/UC Campbell at this point in time. We might be making changes to the actual channel itself over the time frame, but we'll see how everything plays off on that one. But this episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle is going to focus around Monday Night Raw on August 28th, 2017, which was actually relatively good show. With matches, just matches and segments that kind of were given a lot of time, and we had some very interesting segments in this particular show. So let's just go right from the beginning before we get to everything. We have Miz in the ring to start off the show, and as he's about to go ahead and start saying something, he was going to say something about respect, he gets immediately interrupted by Kurt Angle's like, I already know what you're going to do. And it's like, I already know what you're going to do, I already know what you're going to say. Miz, of course, goes through the spiel feeling disrespected and the Intercontinental title's disrespected. Angle's like, well, we have a solution for that. I'm going to have a number one contendership battle royal, and the winner gets to face you next week. So he brings out everybody who's going to be in there, throughout the commercial break as well. But the ones that they focused on were Big Show, the Hardys, and Finn Balor. When they come back, Jason Jordan's making his way into the ring at that point. Good battle royal. I personally enjoy battle royals for the most part in this one. Kurt Hawkins immediately gets interrupted. We also had a couple of interesting moments in this one. You have Finn Balor, who ended up helping the club eliminate the Big Show. The club was going after the Big Show, and Finn Balor decides to help. They kind of have that stare down. It's almost like they give just to give a nod to what their history was. And as they were about to try to too sweet, or the club was convincing Finn to completely join them, Finn Balor gets blindsided by Elias Sampson in that case. So you had that interesting moment and that interesting tease, these are things I kind of like where they go with everything. There's interesting teases and interesting team-ups throughout the entire time, and playing off of their history and their past from Japan and everything to go along with it is a nice little touch. But later in the match, as it looks like Finn's kind of, on a roll, everything in that sense, lights go out, they come back on, Bray appears, throws out Finn, lights go down, Bray disappears. So we're continuing on with this. I thought we were going to kind of be done with this after the whole appearance of the Demon and everything in that sense at SummerSlam, but apparently that's not the case. We're going to be continuing on with this down the line here. The match ends with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel kind of trying to team up and try to eliminate everybody to get basically try to preserve the Miz's Intercontinental title reign, everything to go along with that. But they get eliminated by Jason Jordan, both of them at the same time. Elias gets eliminated, and then Jeff Hardy gets eliminated as well. Or not Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy eliminates Jason Jordan to win the match. So it's going to be Jeff Hardy going up against the Miz next week. Miz gives this almost scared look in his eye and everything to go along with it. It was a good enough match. I prefer battle royals. I like battle royals, mostly because they don't happen that often. And when they do, they're usually kind of fun. It's just a lot of different chaos, a lot of different little stories going in this match. So they're kind of maybe telling a story of the Hardys kind of separating. Jeff's going to go singles, Matt's going to go singles. Matter of fact, they didn't really team up all that much inside of this match. If you really recognize that Matt did a lot of the stuff on his own, where he had where he was fighting off the club and eliminated the club inside of the match. I had a good segment with Carl Anderson on the ring apron before Matt Hardy himself gets eliminated, after he eliminated both of them, and the club kind of beat him down a bit, and then they ended up leaving. So maybe they're going to tell more of a story of the Hardys going after the club for a little bit. You're going to get a little bit of teaming for Matt and Jeff for a little bit, but you're also kind of playing this whole off they didn't really try to help each other all that much in the match, so maybe there's a split coming down the line. So we'll see how everything goes. You had an Alexa Bliss interview backstage up next. Basically, just kind of reiterating everything she said last week, how she's going to win the title and about the match tonight. Nothing really too much about it. Not a bad promo, but nothing really significant was added to this one. It was just kind of, both the promos for Alexa and Sasha were kind of the same. Basically, just talked about the match, how they were going to win, and they were off to the races. Basic build, basic what you needed to do the night of the match. So up next, you had Enzo Amore come out. He basically cut a quick promo about joining 205 Live, which he had appeared on after Neville's win over Akira Tozawa last week, and what he's looking to do. So it looks like Enzo's going to be full on with the cruiserweight division. They even hype it up like he had to get to lose weight to get to the weight limit, everything to go along with that. And he went up against Noam Dar, and this was not that good. It was a rather quick match in the end, so I mean, I guess that was kind of good. But like just solo in the ring, we've always known it. Enzo's always needed work inside the ring, and this kind of just shows it. I do like the bit after the match with because obviously Enzo does go over, which he ended up botching the Eat Defeat or the Soul Eater or something. There's multiple ways they've been said. So he's basically using Gail Kim's Eat Defeat to win matches at this point. And he's kind of playing off the brawler type. He's not going to play any high flying, anything to go along with that. He's kind of the brawler type. Neville cuts a promo afterwards, basically just mocking Enzo and everything to go along with it. This was good stuff from Neville, very good stuff. But the match was kind of it was a little bit worse for wear in that sense. It was not all that good. Up next was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. They come out. They cut Heyman cuts a great promo, putting over Strowman, everything he's done to Brock, but what Brock's going to do to him at No Mercy. Just really, really good promo. Again, what Paul Heyman does, cuts really good promos. I liked how at the end of the promo, and this got like a collective gasp from the crowd as well. Out of nowhere, as you know, Heyman's going for the close and everything to go along with that, kind of using his articulate way of saying everything. Brock just grabs the microphone, the entire place gasps, and he said, and just basically saying, it's like what Heyman's basically saying, Suplex City, bitch, and leaves. And I like how Paul's reaction was. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. That was pretty much what I was trying to say in a more articulate way. Good stuff. I liked what they did there. Kind of builds up going into the pay-per-view match. We didn't necessarily need another interaction between the two of them this week, though we didn't get Strowman at all this week on the actual show. But they didn't really need another altercation or anything to go along with that. We got a good sense of everything from SummerSlam and from last week as well. So it was what it needed to be there. Up next, we have back-to-back matches here. And I mean, like, literally back-to-back matches. And they gave this one a lot of time, too. It was a good, like, half-an-hour segment, if not longer. First match was Seth Rollins going up against Cesaro, which was a very good match between the both of them. You have Cesaro going over in this match. Like I said, it was a rather enjoyable match. But they do play off of the distractions and everything in that sense. Cesaro gains the victory off the distraction from Sheamus and everything going on the outside to go along with it. So Cesaro picks up the victory, and then Sheamus grabs the microphone. It's like, hey, Dean, don't go anywhere because our match is next. So they go right into that match. Well, I bet as far as I remember, there was a commercial break in there to go along with it. Which, again, was a pretty good match. Pretty good match from all sides here on both of this one. They kind of do play the 50-50 booking with the aspect of Dean winning his match, but Seth Rollins helps him. So it's kind of tit for tat. You had Sheamus helping out Cesaro to get the victory, and then you have Seth Rollins helping Dean Ambrose to get the victory over Sheamus. but was a pretty good segment. Basically did what they needed to do to keep this storyline going. You know they still have the rematch, so it was what it needed to be, and it was two rather enjoyable matches. So right after this, you had a backstage segment with Emma and Mickie James. Emma kind of doing her thing about how she's the one who started the women's revolution, everything in that sense, and she basically is like touting her Twitter stuff. So they're using Twitter as part of the storyline now. And they basically made this match between Mickie James and Emma like a hashtag match. So if Mickie wins, Emma can't talk about being the start of the women's revolution. If Emma wins, Mickie has to do some kind of hashtag. Okay. This was a quick match. Really, the only thing of note here was that Emma wins, and I don't even know what the hashtag was in that sense. But also, before the match actually started, Emma got new music, which was completely, like, it just didn't fit her character at all. It felt, I don't know necessarily if it was generic or anything to go along with it, but like everything she typically had done had gone with that old music, and she goes out there and does it, and like the music doesn't fit all her typical interactions and everything to go along with it. So it's like kind of moot in that sense of everything. It's not. It doesn't seem to suit the Emma character outside of the fact of it doesn't even fit the delusional side of everything to go along with it. So it was really weird. And then after the match, as she was leaving, she basically said, I started the women's revolution over and over and over and over and over the microphone again, almost like she was trying to convince herself and the fans at the same time. It was an interesting one. Not that good, though. To be honest with you, not that good. I'm glad that they're at least trying to garner a secondary women's feud and everything to go along with that, because a lot of times it usually just focuses around the title. Now you have something that's kind of focusing without the title and everything to go along with that. So at least they're trying something in that sense, but it's not all that great. We'll give that one. It's not all that great at this point in time. We'll see how it ends up playing off. At least they're giving it a shot at secondary feuds and secondary storylines inside the women's division instead of just all focus around just the women's title. So this brings us to that infamous segment, and I'm going to call it almost infamous in this one, because the contract signing with Roman Reigns and John Cena. Cena comes out, cuts a real quick promo on Roman, and just signs the contract, saying, I just want to have this match, and like almost saying like Roman doesn't even want to have the match or something in that sense. So Roman does come out, and this is where it gets all like, are they going on script or are they going off script? Because it felt like they were going off script. It almost, like, I was thinking in my head, it's like, when did this become a shoot? When did this actually become a shoot bit? Because at one point, Roman's talking about how he doesn't even need this fight. He retired The Undertaker, everything in that sense. But he starts like kind of stumbling over his words. And it almost felt like Cena was kind of playing along with it. Because the first line Cena goes like, it's like, come on, I've got all day. It's like I can sit here all day and wait for you to, figure out what you're going to say. I mean, this is a promo. If you're going to be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do one of these. And he even goes off and says, like, during Roman's promo, after Roman's promo, it's like, it took you only 5 years to cut a half-decent promo. Like, these two were kind of shooting on it felt like they were shooting on each other the entire time. Cena's in, like, a complete meta phase in his career, where he even says it in the promo. It's like, I give no Fs. At this point, I give no Fs. But Cena literally obliterated Roman on the mic. And even though Roman's promo was actually decent, but compared to Cena's, it was complete obliteration in that sense of it, and it was one of those promos that you kind of got to go back and watch the whole thing just to get everything that they said inside of there. Even like the comeback, like even the comebacks that Roman tried to give were not like that good. He tries to say Cena sucks, he's a part-timer, and I like how Cena goes like, so even Roman Reigns is going to use the exact same excuses and blame Cena for the exact same things as everybody else. And like the comebacks that were literally the main aspects of this one, and it was a really good promo. It kind of made you feel within the entire context of it is like, are they shooting on each other, or are they just going off script? There's rumor that it was just that was the way it was supposed to go, right that way. That was according to script, everything to go along with that. They may have improvised a few areas, but they didn't. They didn't necessarily go off script on anything in that sense. But in the way that they delivered everything, it just felt like they had that they felt like everything was just coming straight from the heart. Everything was kind of just shoot. And that's what made this one come off really good, especially if it ends up being that it was just fully scripted the entire way. So right after this promo, though, they had to team up together because the club interrupts and they start trying to fight them and everything to go along with that. So Cena and Reigns team up after this scathing promo, by the way, and had to face the club. This was kind of a basic match that, they work together, but tensions are high with Cena and Roman. I like how Roman is like reaching for the tag, but he's almost jokingly reaching for the tag, and it's like I care about you. No, I don't. I don't care at all. But I'll still do this or something in that sense. It was a little bit weird. Cena and Reigns go over with an attitude adjustment and a spear at the same time. Basic match to go along with everything. You almost wish it wasn't the club at that point, but in some way you almost are wondering whether or not it needed, if it could have been any other team at that point at this time, which is kind of sad for the club, is that, they're relegated to being jobbers to basically everyone, who also calls everybody nerds, which, again, right after that, literally, after the promo you heard from Roman and Cena, the club coming out and cutting a promo was like, did you just not hear what these people said? in that sense. It just kind of fell a little bit off. So, yeah, it was what it was. The match was what it was. They basically told the story with what they needed, is that tensions are high with Cena and Reigns. So, yeah, that's basically what it is. Probably one of the best promo segments I've heard throughout the entire year from WWE, especially off of how it kind of, like it said, how it felt the entire time. It's like Cena and Reigns felt like they were shooting on each other, but there's a chance that this was just all in the plans to begin with. So we'll see how everything ends up playing off. I thought it was a great promo segment. Probably one of their best of the year, if not the best promo segment of the year, because it just, like I said, it came off as feeling genuine, and both these guys are going after each other as much as they possibly could. So up next, you had Elias in the ring. He basically sings a song about Memphis, and you could tell just he enjoys everything he's doing out there. He really does. Elias Sampson, I've liked how they've done everything with him so far. They built him up quite well. At mid-song, he gets interrupted by Jerry the King Lawler, who was on commentary this week because of what had been going down in the Houston area with the hurricane, everything in that sense. I know I didn't make mention to it at the beginning of the broadcast, but, thoughts, prayers, everything going out to the people, not just in Houston, just in Texas, that had been hit by the hurricane, and is still kind of within their time frame at this point, because that hurricane stalled out for a little while, and I think it's kind of moving onward now elsewhere in that sense. So hopefully they're going to be out of the woods. Booker T was staying in Texas with his family, everything in that sense. Good to hear that his family hasn't been affected, but we know a lot of other people's families have been affected there, and WWE had been promoting stuff throughout the show to, for donations, everything in that sense. So if that's one of those bits, is like, if you can donate, obviously go out there and donate. But that was the reason why King was on commentary this week to go along with it. So back right into everything. King comes out, he interrupts. Well, obviously being from the Memphis area and everything to go along with it. He brings out Pelvis Wesley, aka Heath Slater from Southpaw Regional Wrestling, with Pelvis Wesley. Unfortunately, not too much of anything. Though I do give credit to the commentators of not breaking kayfabe. Like, they bought in completely to the whole Pelvis Wesley gimmick and everything to go along with that. Elias basically just lays him out and finishes off the segment. Nothing really too much to that. Afterwards, we had a quick backstage interview with The Miz, basically mocking Kurt Angle's decision of, it's like, oh, so it only takes one singles match for Jeff Hardy to get a Intercontinental title shot. I was like, but isn't this putting it like in that spot that you kind of want it to be? And it's like, he just kind of mocks the whole Jeff Hardy thing going into next week. So this brings us into the main event of the night, which was Alexa Bliss going up against Sasha Banks. Oh, and before I get into that one, they had advertised the match, and obviously I made mention to Cena and Reigns teaming up, that Cena was supposed to go up against Samoa Joe. But apparently over the weekend, Samoa Joe had garnered a knee injury and he might be out for about 4 weeks. So obviously they kind of advertised that it was going to be there, but then there was like quick change of plans. So they played it off as like, oh, this is a change of plans. Because when you hear Cena and Reigns teaming up against the club, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, wasn't Joe supposed to fight Cena? Weren't we supposed to get that match tonight? And nothing had really been thrown out there until after the show that Joe was actually injured and everything to go along with that. So that was why we did not get that match on Monday Night Raw this week. So this, again, bringing it back into what the main event ended up being for the night, which was Alexa Bliss going up against Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's title. This was an enjoyable match, but there's just one thing about this one. Alexa ends up going over in the end, and Sasha did sell the DDT really well. And again, they do play it off as Alexa kind of being more opportunistic in gaining her victories and not necessarily cheating in the sense of everything, because she got the DDT after like Sasha was going for her finish and was actually going for the backstabber to go into the bank statement again, but Sasha kind of just throws her throat first into the ropes after she had been working over like the back and the midsection throughout the entire match, and then gained the victory off the DDT that way. But both of them, they put on a very enjoyable match. Alexa is kind of showing a little bit more inside the ring. I'm slowly but surely buying Alexa Bliss is a good in-ring competitor in that sense of everything, and she's worked a couple really good matches with Sasha over the last number of months. So things are looking a lot better. That was always been my downside towards Alexa. She was great character, good promo, but the in-ring wasn't up to snuff. Like what we had seen beforehand wasn't really up to snuff. In that sense of being considered good or anything to go along with that. We've seen her work decent matches, and we saw her work at, I thought the match at, with Bayley, when she won the title, I thought was a pretty good match. But obviously we knew what happened with the Extreme Rules match and that entire storyline. It was also a reason why a lot of people were kind of doubting Alexa, because that storyline that she had with Bayley was so poorly written and not really well executed in any way, shape, or form either, to go along with. It was like, that was why they were going with this one. But why fans were kind of like, maybe she's not that good, everything to go along with that. But this feud in these last few matches with Sasha have kind of changed that factor, especially with me as well, with Alexa Bliss. And she's seemingly pretty good inside the ring, and we'll see how much everything plays off. The only real downside on this one is, again, Sasha, they played up this storyline last week, and it kind of plays again here, that Sasha wins the title, she can't defend the title. And is she ever going to get a proper title reign is going to be the interesting thing to go along with it. It doesn't seem that way. Because every time, like I said, every time she seemingly won the title, she doesn't get a title defense. Now they played the actual reverse role in this one, where Sasha would always win the title on Monday Night Raw and then lose on pay-per-view. This time she won on pay-per-view, lost on Raw. They played the complete reverse of everything to go along with that. So, after the match, though, you had Nia Jax basically comes out like right as the match ends. And you knew exactly where this was going to go. So she kind of does she does do a bit to get rid of Sasha Banks and make her seem like she's going to be with Alexa and everything in that sense. She hoisted Alexa up on her shoulders, and you could just tell the crowd was just waiting for it. They were just waiting. It's like, you're going to dump her on her head. You're just going to dump her right now. No, wait for it. Now you're going to do it. And then then Nia does topple Alexa over, basically standing over with the Raw Women's title to finish off the show. And honestly, to a pretty decent reaction to go along with it. It was like they were kind of the crowd kind of dug that in that sense of it. So it's interesting to see whether or not Alexa's going to be the babyface in this one and Nia's the heel, or is this Nia's face turn on Alexa? And we'll see how everything ends up playing off on that one. But overall, pretty good Raw. Pretty good Raw. If anything, for that promo segment with Cena and Reigns. But honestly, I found a lot of other things to be rather enjoyable throughout the show. I enjoyed the Battle Royal. The Lesnar and Heyman stuff I thought was pretty good as well. Well, it was, let's be really honest with you, pretty good in the terms of Lesnar and Heyman. Is Heyman goes out there and cuts a really damn good promo. The Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose going with Cesaro and Sheamus stuff I thought was good. Really, the only thing that just kind of felt weird and almost out of place was that new theme song from Emma. That was pretty much it. Otherwise, I thought the show was a rather good one in that sense of everything. So with that being said, everybody, that's pretty much everything I have on Monday Night Raw this week. So I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a great rest of your day.